Okay, the topic of today is impact of multinational companies on local economies. We'll talk about the impact on the host countries. Host countries are those countries where multinational companies are operating. What are the multinational companies? Multinational companies are those businesses that have head office in one country and operations in more than one countries. Such companies are called multinational companies. We'll talk about the positive impacts of multinational companies first, then we'll come to the negative impacts of multinational companies on that local economies. First of all, local labor and job creation. If we talk about the multinational companies, the first impact of MNCs on local economies is the creation of jobs. They create opportunities for many people to do work. Sometimes that work might be full-time jobs, sometimes that work might be part-time jobs. Multinational companies are also financially more sound when they give jobs to people of that country, the people of that country, the labor become more financially secured. Multinational have their own rules and regulations that they follow, and they do not make people redundant without any reason. That's why people feel more financially secure when they do jobs in multinational companies. Second impact is wages and working conditions. Okay. When the multinational companies operate in some country, the wages in that local geography may rise. Because multinational companies usually pay higher working conditions and they higher wages, and they usually have better working conditions as compared to the local people. Similarly, if unemployment is high in that territory, and more of the people will be doing jobs and they will be getting higher wages. As a result, their standard of living may rise. And if people are employed already there, then also they will offer more jobs, more wages to those employees, and also the wages rate of that particular country, particular territory will rise. Multinational also bring more technologies to the local countries. Because most of the multinational companies use capital intensive techniques, They are good at technology. So they bring those technologies to the local countries, and local economies also become aware of that technology, how to use that, and they also get benefit from that. Impact on local businesses. At one end, multinational companies create competition for the local businesses. And that competition may act as the positive impact too, because the local businesses will also become efficient as a result, because when they face competition, they improve their situations. Because if they do not become efficient, they won't be able to survive in competition with such larger giants. Local smaller businesses may provide support to them. As a result of that, the local smaller business may also grow. When multinational companies move to the smaller countries or other economies, they create many jobs for those businesses. For example, building jobs. They can build buildings for those multinational companies, carpenting jobs, plumbing jobs, electrician jobs. These are smaller businesses, local businesses that are already operating. When multinational go there, they start supplying raw material to them. They start supplying labor services to them, components to them, commercial services to them. In this way, the local businesses also grow. However, the multinational companies have negative impacts on the local businesses too. When multinational offer better wages to the labor, better working conditions to the labor, labor may leave towards multinationals. And as a result of that, brain drain may happen to the local companies, and it will be difficult for them to find good labor then. Secondly, Small businesses may not survive in the competition with the multinationals. They may be closed. And they may be closed. Let's talk about the impact on local community and environment. Impact on local community and environment. The people living in local communities are likely to welcome the location of multinational in those countries. But it's only if the benefit outweighs the drawbacks. We'll talk about separately the benefits and the drawbacks. First of all, the local communities should welcome because MNCs result in the improvement of infrastructure of that local community. MNCs might also invest themselves money to develop roads, because it's in their own benefit to have better roads over there. Water and gas supplies, schools, hospitals. Etc. Sometimes they do is to build the trust of the community, and sometimes they do it because they know that by building their infrastructure of that local community, they will get benefit of so many things. For example, they will receive better supplies, unbroken, for example. If the roads are not developed, the suppliers might deny to deliver, but if roads are developed, suppliers might be willing to supply there. So sometimes they do it to develop the trust of the people, and sometimes they are doing it for their own sake. Then they contribute to the local government taxes, to the local government taxes. Some countries, businesses have to pay local taxes. In some countries, businesses will have to pay local taxes to the local government too. For example, if you open a departmental store in Lahore, you will have to pay national taxes, yes, but you will have to pay so many local taxes to Lahore Development Authority too. So if multinational operate there, they also pay local taxes. With the help of that, the local government can develop infrastructure. The local government can spend those funds on the development of area that are generated out of taxes. In this way, local community will get benefit of that. Sometimes the multinational companies helps in local communities. Another benefit that they can provide to the local communities, that they can help the local communities. MNCs can help the local communities. How they help the local communities? Make an effort to build strong link with the local community. It's their basic need that they should develop links with the local communities. They might participate in local culture, sports events. And you see, I don't know when you visited Pakistan last time, but you might see Coca-Cola and Pepsi contributing to the local cultures a lot here in Pakistan, being multinationals. In some areas, they are providing bulbs, lights, energy savers, things like that. In some areas where electricity shortage is there, they are installing electricity poles too. Support to local culture, events. Sometimes they give charities to the poor people. This is how they deal with the local communities. Now we'll study impact of multinational companies on national economy. First of all, they are a good source of economic growth. When multinational companies operate in a country, they boost the gross domestic product of that country because they are coming up with more foreign direct investment flows initially. When we talk about foreign direct investment flows, it means when an overseas business locate new facility in a foreign country, the amount of money spent on establishing the facility is classified as FDI. Let me define it too for your convenience. In an overseas business establishes its operations in a local country, the amounts of money spent on building or establishing the units is called FDI, foreign direct investment. So they bring foreign direct investment. As a result of a flow of more foreign direct investment will increase the income of economy, because more gross domestic product will be produced, because more output will be produced. It will also increase more tax revenue for the government. It will also increase employment. That is one of the macroeconomic aims of government. So more people will get jobs. The country's unemployment rate will reduce. Sometimes it might reduce the national debts too. How? I'll talk about it. If they are bringing more foreign direct investment, that might be used to reduce the national debts. That has the positive impact on country's finance, because income in that country, the cash inflows in that country are continuously increasing if foreign direct investment are coming. So the country can repay with the help of that foreign direct investment, its loans and all that. Also, when FDIs are coming, it shows that country is more financially stable. And as a result of that, the interest payments might be reduced, for example, or as a result of that, the country can borrow future loans from the other countries too. So this was the first thing, FDI, as that I told you, that FDI, economic growth results, and FDI increases in that country, and economic growth increases. The second aspect we are going to talk about is balance of payment. Balance of payment is the balance of all money inflows and outflows in that country because of exports, imports, and other primary and secondary incomes. Investment by MNCs will have a positive impact on host countries' balance of payment. How? Initially, though, it is because of the FDI. When income is coming, the positive inflows of country will also increase. And secondly, if they start producing in that country, the imports might fall. Because if they produce those goods that country was already importing from Japan, for example, no country won't have to import because those goods are being produced in that country, and exports might rise. If the cost of production in that country is low, the multinational companies can start making goods there and start exporting to other countries, as iPhone is producing in India and exporting to the other countries, as more of the multinational companies of US are located in China now, and they are exporting the goods to the other countries from China. Okay. Then we have technology and skill transfer. Okay, one thing remaining, sorry. It may have negative impact on the balance of payment too. How? If MNCs buy more of their resources from other countries, then balance of payment might become negative too. From other countries, the BOP might become negative. It means the country is importing more and exporting less. As a result of that, the balance of payment go into negative. Okay, the third impact is technology and skill transfer. Technology and skill transfer. When multinational companies come in other countries, they bring, as I already told you, their capital investments with them. They also bring the technologies with them. They also bring the methodologies of being efficient with them. So as a result of that, the technological progress in the host countries might also increase. But we are specifically going to talk about two kinds of transfer. One is called horizontal transfer. And second is vertical transfer. Horizontal transfers are when knowledge is transferred across the same industry. When knowledge is transferred across the same industry. For example, new technologies and working practices used in Japani car manufacturing techniques, such as Nissan and Toyota, when they come to other countries, those other countries manufacturing cars, their technologies will be transferred to those countries. For example, just-in-time techniques in Toyota Corolla, where they can just buy the inventory that they need and they keep lesser warehousing. That technique might be transferred to other car industries. That will be called horizontal transfer. And then we have vertical transfer. It may be forward or backward. Forward vertical or backward vertical. MNCs often provide technical assistance, training, and other information to their suppliers located in the host country. That information, training, help to the supplier is called backward, in which suppliers enable themselves to better supply goods and services. And sometimes they transfer this technology to the retailers, if they are manufacturers who are selling their goods, and that is called forward vertical transfer. So both technology transfer can happen, forward vertical or backward vertical. They also impact the consumers. Consumers have more choices now. If Pakistan is having MG, Kia, Nissan, etc., the consumer of Pakistan in the car industry is having more choice now. The consumer may have lower prices, because if local sellers were selling at the higher prices, when international sellers come, they make it cheaper, they sell cheaper. The consumer may have improved quality, because international businesses mostly focus on quality more as compared to local businesses. As a result of that, the consumer might have better living standard. I always give this example to my students when teaching this topic, that the cars in Pakistan were not following much of the safety standard until and unless international car manufacturers came in here and they started providing more quality standards that ultimately increase the standard of living of people. Such businesses also impact business cultures. When multinational companies opt a positive business culture, they retain employees for a longer time period. They treat consumer in a better way. They treat supplier in a better way. This culture is also transferred to the local businesses too. They also start following similar better working conditions, similar treatment with the supplier, similar treatment with the consumers are transferred to the local businesses. For example, there has been noticed that the multinational companies operating in the other countries sometimes ask their employees to invest in those companies and making them shareholders. That is a very positive culture. That culture might also be transferred to the local businesses, and they might also start this practice, making their workers with the better standard of living in future. Development of more skills in workers. Although there is a chance that worker might leave businesses, but still they continue to develop. Development of skills. And some of MNCs encourage workers to become entrepreneurs. So this is how they transfer tax, the positive culture to the community. There is also an impact on the tax revenue. Multinational companies are usually more profitable and they pay more taxes as a result of that. Tax for national economy. And the tax can be used by the local government then in development of the economy. Sometimes multinational are accused that they pay lesser taxes. They use their employment power for that, and they say government that because we are giving employment to 10,000 people, so you must give us subsidy or at least reduction in the tax. Sometimes they locate in such an areas where government can provide them low taxes. For example, in Pakistan, in Gwadar, if businesses are locating nowadays, the government can give them a tax rebate. There is also a common technique used by multinational companies to avoid tax on profit that is called transfer pricing. What is transfer payment? Assume an MNC has to make a product in a country A, the country which charges high taxes on profits. MNCs can often reduce their tax burden by recording certain business transaction in other country. They will simply record it that we have done this business transaction in other country. As a result of that, they will have to pay lower taxes because if they record the transaction in other country, as a result of that, they will have to pay lesser taxes too. So the positives and negatives all, we cannot deny that multinational companies are profit-seeking companies and they will always do something to maximize their profits. They will always try to minimize their tax liabilities, but still the multinational companies have both positive and negative impacts on all economies.